What's up? It's Tom, and twin case you missed it. Everybody got traded today. Everybody got traded. Man, that was rough. Man, that was rough. There's not a good way to do this. There's just so much that went down. I'm going to do my best. If I miss anything, please, people in the comments, help me out here. There's just so much to go through. But this is the list of the guys who are out. The guys that the Twins traded. Chris Paddack, Randy Dobnak, Jhoan Duran, Harrison Bader, Brock Stewart, Danny Coulombe, Carlos Correa, Louis Varland, Ty France, Griffin Jax, and Willi Castro. Holy smokes, is that a lot of players. Much like we did for Duran, raising a toast to all of these guys, especially any of them who were involved on the 2023 Twins in particular, who broke the playoff losing streak. A toast to you all. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Hopefully you're going to greener pastures, playing for better ball clubs, and you have wonderful Octobers in your new homes. All right, so those are the guys on the way out. Coming in, I'm not going to be able to really hammer through all of these guys. I will say I'm going to try to update my prospect list on Monday, the first Monday of the month like I always do. So we'll have some more time to dig in deeper. But Enrique Jimenez, Eduardo Tait, Mick Abel, Hendry Mendez, Jeremy Vioria, James Outman, Garrett Horn, Matt Mikulski, Alan Roden, Kendry Rojas, Taj Bradley, Ryan Gallagher, and Sam Armstrong. You see those four names bolded and underlined. Those are guys on the 40-man roster. Those are guys who've been in the big leagues. The rest of them are strictly prospects. So again, not going to really get too deep into detail on all of those. There's just so much to go through and go over right now. I couldn't possibly do that well at the moment, to be completely honest. So instead, let's talk about trade tiers. Tier as in crying and tiers as in categories. For me at least, shedding a tier. We're going to shed a tier for these guys, mostly in part because they didn't have really a future with the Minnesota Twins. All of these guys, save for, I think, Dobnak, is his contract expiring? I don't know. Either way, he was a throw-in, basically, money-wise. All the rest of these guys were on expiring contracts. Chris Paddack, Randy Dobnak, Harrison Bader, Danny Coulombe, Ty France, and Willi Castro. You were only going to have these guys around for 2 more months anyway, so it's not that big of a blow. I put an asterisk next to Willi Castro because for me personally, I did get emotional when about a week ago, I had to sort of really come to terms with the fact, just the reality that Willi Castro was going to get traded. Maybe some of these other guys had that same impact for you. It was it's tough, but again, wishing him the best. He went to the Cubs. I understand where the Twins are at in trading someone who only has 2 months of team control left. So yeah, sad to see those guys go, but understandable. Sobbing, I put Jhoan Duran and Griffin Jax. I understand the logic behind those trades, and there are certainly things to like about the returns, but we watched those guys grow up. We watched those guys break into the big leagues and figure out how to be big leaguers and establish themselves in their careers. And they did it here. Griffin Jack's a completely homegrown guy. Tough to watch those guys walk away. A confused cry is what I put for Brock Stewart, because what do the Twins need with James Outman? I don't get that one at all. Brock Stewart's, my only guess is that Brock Stewart's medicals look so bad that whatever they had agreed upon, the Dodgers were like, no, actually, we are not going to go through with that. And the Twins had to settle for getting James Outman. It's not like there's nothing to like about James Outman. I don't feel like I want to drag his name through the mud, but what? He's 28, I think. Hasn't been good in the majors for a few years. Has some ability, has some talent, but the Twins don't need that piece. I didn't get that one. Angry Cat Cry, Carlos Correa. This one, I probably have the most complicated feelings about this one because, on one hand, I can get it, right? I can get it. A big reason why the Twins are in the position they're in is because of Carlos Correa, if you want to really get down to it. He has been a huge disappointment this year, and he missed a lot of last year, and that's a big impact on the Twins not living up to expectations. But at the same time, this is your marquee guy, the first guy you ever gave a $200 million contract to, the first guy you ever paid $30 million in a season. He represents something beyond what he represents as a trade piece, or it's hard to explain for this, but there's trading Carlos Correa for a guy who's not the guy that got, I don't want to drag his name through the mud either, but he's not even going to be a top 50 prospect. I'm not even going to consider him for my top 50 prospect list. I'm not sure if the Twins don't just release him within the next month. They got rid of, I think, like 70% of the Correa contract. That was the entire motivation of that trade. And that's just disgusting. That's just disgusting. However you think about Carlos Correa, again, it's been a bad year for him. I certainly believe that he can get right and be better than what he's been. But yeah, I'm upset about that. And from beyond a baseball perspective, it would be one thing if you could believe that $70 million saved is going to get reinvested in something else. And I just don't. I really don't. They're just going to not spend that money. So how can you paint that as a positive in any way? And then balling. This one hit me the hardest because I wasn't ready for it. Louis Varland, I just really did not consider the fact that he might get traded. And I'm not going to back down from all my comments about especially when I was talking about Duran, about bullpen relievers, me really thinking it makes a lot of sense to cash out on relievers when you're in a situation that the Twins are in. So I get it. I get why that they went so far in that direction of trading the relievers. But it just was not on my radar, to be completely honest, that Louis Varland might be traded today. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm shocked. Again, another guy like Griffin Jacks, he's been here from the start. Watched him come from a 15th round pick and turn himself into a big leaguer. Man, that's tough. That's tough. And I think one of the very first system recap videos I made, and I don't even think I was using the term system recap yet, but it was a nightly, the same idea, highlight of the minor league action, featured Louis Varland, heavily featured Louis Varland. I think the first basically system recap video. So kind of as a special place to me, much like Willi Castro being a former sire of Fort Myers. So that one really, really hit me. So I think what I want to do right now is pivot to who's left. What does this roster look like right now? Here's the rotation as I have it. I put an asterisk next to Bailey Ober because he's technically currently on the IL, but I think his next start is going to be made with the Twins. So Joe Ryan, Taj Bradley, Bailey Ober, Simeon Woods Richardson, Zebby Matthews with Pablo Lopez and David Fest on the IL. I don't think Fest is out too long. So he could be returning to the rotation. On the 40-man, beyond those guys, Mick Abel, Pearson Ole, and Marco Raya. It's possible that either Ole or maybe even Raya could end up contributing to the bullpen, maybe, like immediately, if that's what the Twins decide. There is some questions there. We'll get to that in just a sec, but this is actually a pretty good situation, especially considering what all the Twins did. Pablo Lopez is he was set to be back this year. Now I'm not sure if they have much reason to even do that. Again, David Festa is not like he's out long term. So this is a pretty good rotation still, and especially when you put Pablo Lopez back at the top of that rotation for 2026, I think there's a lot to like here still. I think there's a lot to be positive about. Things change as we move into other segments of the team. This is the current bullpen. Cole Sands is your top guy. And, man, Justin Topa, Cody Funderburk, Michael Tonkin, Noah Davis. I'm going to pencil in Travis Adams, even though I put an asterisk there because he's not currently on the active roster. I'm guessing he's going to be the guy. I know he recently just pitched a bulk game, so maybe not. But eventually, as things shake out, I think Travis Adams probably is going to be a regular in the bullpen. I don't even know who the last guy in the bullpen is going to be. I put maybe Erasmo Ramirez. Not that he's pitching well. He's missed most of the year. He is active with the Saints. It's not like he's pitching well, but he's a veteran, and he's a good dude. He's a good dude, and he's a veteran. I think he would be someone who would be a good idea to kind of plop in here and he's probably just going to be a mop-up guy anyway. Anthony Misevich, a lefty, is on the injured list. Beyond these names, and Erasmo Ramirez is not on the 40-man roster, mind you. There's nobody else in the 40-man. So I don't know if it's going to be Ramirez or if there's other guys with the Saints. The Twins are already really active in claiming relievers off the waiver wire. That's going to be turned up. Every single reliever on waivers basically is going to get claimed by the Twins. Pretty shocking. Again, there are some guys in the starting rotation picture that might factor into this bullpen picture, and I definitely think that's going to become even more true next year. Some guys that we're looking at as starting pitching prospects are going to end up in the bullpen and change things here, but wow, is that a different look. Lineup-wise, this is ugly too, and part of it is because Byron Buxton is on the injured list, and Luke Keeschel should be activated soon. I'm still listing him in the injured list, but Luke Keeschel is going to be back before too much longer, and that'll kind of change the look of this too. But Ryan Jeffers, I'm penciling Mickey Gasperin at first base, Cody Clemens in at second base, Royce Lewis at third, Brooks Lee at short, Trevor Larnach in left field, Deshaun Kersey Jr. at the moment in center field, Matt Waller in right, and Alan Roden as the DH. He's kind of a corner outfielder. I think they'll probably play him at first base some too, maybe. On the bench, I've got Christian Vasquez and then Edouard Julien, Jose Miranda, and Austin Martin. Those three guys have asterisks because they are not currently on the active roster, but they're on the 40-man. Those are my guesses as who's going to take these three spots at the moment. Again, Buxton and Keeschel will be back before hopefully too long. And maybe it turns out Julien gets a lot of second base run or even first base run, and Miranda gets a lot of play at first base, and Martin gets some center field play. So I only listed the guys mainly in the lineup, the starting lineup, because I know they're on the active roster. But would it make sense to really play a Mickey Gasper and a Cody Clemens when they're as old as they are, and the Twins have clearly taken this step toward the future? Probably not. So we'll see what happens there. Beyond those names on the 40-man, Ryan Fitzgerald, Carson McCusker, who definitely, if Julien and Miranda and Martin are not on the active roster, if you think any of those names make more sense, they could certainly swap those out. Fitzgerald, Carson McCusker, James Outman, or Emmanuel Rodriguez. Wow. I mean, what do you say? Again, I don't know how to properly really summarize the day other than this sucked. I'm grossed out by the whole thing. I'll give them this much. They picked a direction. They picked a direction and they went hard in that direction. So it's certainly interesting, but I don't have the energy or the desire to really analyze things too deep into trade grades and analyzing the return right now. It's too soon. I'm just bummed out and grossed out and just down, to be completely honest, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. So again, I said it before, I'll say it again. I'd much rather be trading away prospects, be in that position. I'm not saying I would have rather this Twins team done that, but I'd much rather be in a position where you're logically looking at it and saying, let's trade away prospects and get the major leaguers, than trading away 10 guys off the major league roster. My goodness. Oh,